G'day everyone and welcome to Canberra where I am under the weather. The weather is cold outside, but the drafting yesterday was absolutely hot. It was Dan Titus from Yahoo's first set up mock draft. There was 12 analysts getting together in a room. These drafts, I always like to pay attention to these, like when I'm building my builds, a lot more from now. It's mid-September, there's hype, the NBA preseason schedule has been announced, it's only a few weeks away. So now it's where I'm starting to really dig in and know where guys are going off the board. Because if you're listening to this, let's be honest, your mates could be, or they're listening to someone else. And the analysts that they're listening to are all getting into these draft rooms. It's where they're getting the intel. We're going to share the build. We're going to share the pits. And Dan Titus from Yahoo is going to jump on, talk about his team, and also some of the things that he's starting to learn and we're seeing over there. It's going to be a big one. Check it out.
They're playing basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skitty, and Mally for the Insight NBA show.
Now, not to beat around the bush, but I'm looking at what I got up to yesterday here in Canberra because I am in our nation's capital. And I'm going to say it was a big day. Start off at 9 a.m. with a draft. And I was doing other stuff. So I was at work, but I had a plan. I didn't know where I was going into. I had no idea before the draft set, about 30 minutes before. None of us had any bonkers idea where we were going in this draft. So I woke up. I messaged Titus. I was like, hey, are you setting the draft order? He's like, nah, man, random, 30 minutes out. So, of course, that's going to be fun. I get pick 5. So immediately I start to think about what kind of build am I going to make? And when I'm talking about what kind of build I'm going to make, I kind of drive my data a little bit. And I'm looking like, okay, who am I going to be able to get? The default number 5 pick right now happens to be Tyrese Halliburton. And I haven't done a Tyrese Halliburton build yet. And I know that I'm doing one as a mock draft with Skitty. So I was going to let that one go. So I'm going to go to one of the dudes that I've been working with, and I was going to go with Anthony Davis if he fell to me at 5. He's seeming to lurk up occasionally into 4 because the consensus now is 100% Wemby is going at 1, Jokic is going at number 2, and number 3, Jokic at 2, Doncic at 3, and then it's a mismatch. You can go Shea quite easily. You could go AD. There are guys who are jumping up on that one, and they're thinking they'll still take Embiid. They're seeing the possible return of value. They still see him going to be a top 3, top 4, top 5 NBA player, and they're grabbing him, and deservedly so. Like, the injuries are a little bit of a bug, and we'll get to some of those guys and where they're going in drafts. But when you start putting together a build like this, we're going to go through the picks now before Titus comes on, and we're going to recap a little bit with our teams as well. So this is what we were noticing in the draft yesterday. I'm going to put it up on the screen. For any of those who are listening, I'll go through them round by round for you. For those of us who are on audio, hello, and let's get into it like this. So on the share screen here, we've got how the draft played out. Now, on this draft playing out yesterday, you can quite easily see here that the number one thing to keep in mind was that Wemby is 1, Jokic is 2, Doncic at 3, SGA 4, as I thought. So immediately I'm going to do it into the AD build and really happy into that one, leaving Tyrese Halliburton to drop down to Sloan. And by the way, big shout out. We had Raf, we had Adam, we have Adam's Kingy in here as well. We had Papi Roy, NBA Fantasy Bible, Alex Baratha, like some really awesome dudes, really amazing analysts. And they're making their builds, and we're all going for the same dudes. We're all going for the same guys out here. It's freaking chaos. Into number 7, this is where Giannis goes off the board, followed by Joel Embiid. Jason Tatum at 9. Number 10 is Kevin Durant. 11, sliding into the first round in this one for Steve from Pods, is Donovan Mitchell. Now, I don't think it's a bad pick. I don't think it's a good pick. I just think it's a pick that almost has to be made, and your hand gets a little bit forced around this point in the draft because you can see how his team will build out later on, and it's quite clever where he leans into. Now, Dan Titus, you can see there, finishes off the first round with pick 12. He was really hoping that Trey would fall to him. Now, he messaged me beforehand, and we were going back and forth, and he goes, I'm hoping to get Harden and I might do a LaMelo build. Now, I thought that was a little bit sexy and juicy. I'm not going to lie, because you're not going to get those two guards often in your drafts. And if you're at the turn there, you've got a really good chance to lock up assists. Now, I've said this before. Assists are really hard to get in spades. And just a bit of data dive and a bit of just to think about what I'm saying this. I did the exercise yesterday where I looked at who are the guys who are the most elite assist providers in the NBA. Now, last season, it was Tyrese Halliburton, 10.9, Trae Young, 10.8, Luka at 9.8, Jokic at 9, Harden at 8.5. Now, all of those names that I've just said, those 5 names, the 5 leaders are all going to be going off the board in the first 15 picks. There is no way that you can double down on a build with those guys. However, LaMelo Ball, he only played 22 games last year. And in LaMelo Ball's time last year, you can see that he's in that bracket of 8 assists per game. So there's this another bracket after we drop off to 9. So we go down to that 5th place guy there last year. So the 4th place guy was Jokic. I'm battling a cough. Forgive me. There we go. Coughed it out of the way. 10.9 for Tyrese. That's basically 11. The only other person to get over 10 a game was Trae. They're gone in the first round. Okay, so the 9 blokes. That was Luka, Joker, Harden is then outside of that at 8.5. LeBron, 8.3. Sabonis, 8.2. Ja, he's coming up the ranks hot. He was at 8.1 in only 9 games, limited sample. Let's not give that too much credit. And then you finish with Fred VanVleet and LaMelo Ball. These are all the 8 assists plus guys in the NBA in 23-24. So if you're doing that at the turn, you are probably one of the only people. If you're from 10, 11, and 12, you have a really good shot at making an assist-based build. That's one of the big things that I'm getting from these, because you're going to be able to pull in 2 of the top 10 assist blokes in the NBA. Now you can match that. And all of them, funnily enough, all but 2, that was Sabonis and Ja, get over a steal a game as well. That's something to keep in mind, that if you're going into assist, you want to be crafty and add and pepper in those steals there as well. I can't tell you enough that when you look at it, you're going to see the build start to come together when you're looking at your stats and your data. You're like, okay, I've got some good steals. I've got some points. These are points guys as well. So you're going to have points. You're going to be likely getting 3s, unless, of course, Sabonis doesn't fit that mold. So who can you pair up? That's a really big thing to have a look at. Again, so this is where these turn picks are really important. Look at this. Donovan Mitchell pairing with Kyrie. Good source of points, 3s, because, again, points are going off the board really quickly. You've got Steph, Dame, Chet Holmgren. Now, this was the build that I was going to make. I was looking to take Chet because I did in the AD build. Go and check that one. I think it was the AD versus MB build with Mally. I managed to pick up Chet and build down blocks really well. So this is the next thing we want to talk about. The block guys. Because if you're building the Wemby build, you know you're laughing in spades to start it off with. He was the number 1, 3.6, compared to last year, Walker Kessler, 2.4 blocks per game. Lopez, 2.4. AD, I picked him up, 2.3. And then it was Chet Holmgren, 2.3. So on my second way back around the turn, I become more competitive. And generally on averages from last year, I'm winning on that one, depending on who he couples with. So if you're going to build down off Wemby, off as the first pick, you want to lock down blocks really well with that second or third pick, again, because you can control the tempo. This is the great thing about the turn. We're doing a pod very soon about the art of the turn. It's tempo, baby. It's tempo, because you get to watch 2 people come into your team when everyone else gets to watch those 2 people go off, and they're making 1 and 1 and 1. And because you get that back-to-back, you can partner up so nicely and really force the hand of others and to set the tone for that whole round. Now, yeah, it kind of leaves you balls to the wall scared for the next, 20-something picks. But what you get to do is get to lock down those builds. Be aware, though, you are kind of signaling to your entire league what you're doing. And they're going to have to counter. But again, you get to set the tempo because you build back on back. The next guy who's drafting at, let's say, 8, he gets to make his, it goes through to the end of the round and then back to him. And there's more of an opportunity for guys to go off the board. When you're drafting at 1 or 12 or 14 or in 20 in like balls league stuff, and you're drafting at that turn, you get to set that tempo and get back down onto that one there. So as you can see, I didn't manage to pick up Chet. So now I'm thinking of another guy. I'm thinking like, is it too early already for a Miles Turner? Yes. Is it too early for a Jaren Jackson Jr.? Maybe, but I might have to reach for him. So I was going to build into a different one. Devin Booker, the 6th pick in the second round. Scotty Barnes, about where his value was at there by Sloan in the second. LaMelo, I picked him up because, again, I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's a possible first-round bloke. If he's healthy, we know that he is. So I'm definitely pairing him up here. I was leaning maybe Edwards for points, but if LaMelo's healthy, I'm getting the assists that I want. And again, they go off the board. He's going to feed my big man. I'm making a well-rounded build off the rip there. Edwards, Sabonis falling very late to Keller, Raf taking Brunson, and Fred VanVleet. I love that. I had Fred VanVleet in my queue. Now, Fred VanVleet in ADP data on Yahoo, he slipped again. Go listen to our top 10 targets show. I don't know what the world has against FVV. I don't understand it, but I'm not here for it. This is my case. Draft this bloke in the second round. I mean, not obviously at pick 13, 14 maybe, but definitely like I'm considering him from 20 on. And the fact that I love this right here is that Adams, elite team, I think it was Kingy, or there was 2 Adams in the draft yesterday. Too many Adams for my liking in one draft. Right here, picking him up. I love that because I had him in my queue being like, yeah, he's going to fall to me in the third round. Again, this is an analyst draft. It gets very competitive very quickly, and this sets the tone. I'm seeing that value of Fred VanVleet eventually evaporate in drafts. So don't get too tied to taking him in the second round or late in the second or in the third round, especially. Don't be like, oh, I can get FVV in the third round. Yeah, you're probably not going to be able to in a couple of weeks' time. Starting the third round, then De'Aaron Fox, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron, Lowry for me. So I just wanted points because my guys off the board have gone now. That was Fred VanVleet. That was Lowry. And then I was thinking, do I do it? Do I take Jaren Jackson Jr.? No, I just wanted the best player on the board. I probably should have taken Triple J. He's gone off a few more picks down the board. But this is where guys like LeBron and me, Lowry, falling this way. He's been first top 15 value. I'm really happy taking him here in the 30s. Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Maxey, Jaren Jackson Jr. The first of the Jalen's goes off the board there to Darren Adimac at NBA Fantasy Bubble, DeJounte Murray, Karl Anthony Towns, and then Dan Titus pairs up his build of Trey and Harden with Jalen Williams, who he would have been salivating at. He would have been absolutely there in the lab going like, yeah, I got my Jalen Williams. I love that one. We're going to do it. We're taking him. We're taking him. We've got Jalen. After this one, running into 4, Alperen Şengün, he is then paired with. So he's now looking really good, locking down rebounds, locking down assists. He's really looking to build up a high points and field goal percentages and really build that into his team as tight. And then after that pick, we've got Stevie from Pods going into Miles Turner, Bam Adebayo, Evan Mobley, and Desmond Bane off the board next. Now, this Mobley pick had me in a tiz because he's going off the board now more and more and more. Now, after 36 picks in the third round, it is Evan Mobley's time to shine. For those of you who are looking for the upside of Mobley, 38, 39, 40 is around where his ADP data is settling right now. If you're skipping him at 38, you're not getting him past this. I had my eyes on him. I'm forever hopeful, but he wasn't someone I was going to build into my team necessarily. After this, Paolo Banchero, again, I think really high, but more value in a points league, but fair, and it's going to fit Adam's build here as well. Franz Wagner, I'm picking up my points guy, Emmanuel Quickly. He's one of my guys this year, and I'm putting my stake to claim to him. I loved Quickly last year in my team. I had him in a couple of leagues, so I'm really in for what he can do with a full season in Toronto this year. So grabbing him around here with my pick, I'm really comfortable and confident with. After that one, Zion Williamson going to Quran. Again, what I love about Zion is that power forward center eligibility. Now, we're drafting a 2-center league at the end of the day, and I'll show the full team breakdown at the end, but that's a solid pick there. Derek White, Ja Morant, and DeMar DeRozan to finish off the fourth round. And that one from Adam's elite team, again, he gets to dictate the pace. So what does he want to do? Okay, I got points, some assists, pretty solid field goal percentages, looking to build off that one. Who's going to get me points and rebounds and maybe not get those assists as well? Like, I got assists, now I might get rebounds. I got assists, I might not get rebounds. I would be looking for someone with more defensive upside and swing here, but he's taken Vooch. Now, it's not a bad pick. Don't know what's going to happen with him in the Bulls. There's a cloud, but this is about where he's going because I like to think as the 5th round is my center cutoff. The 5th round is where centers start to go off the league. If there's a lesson you're learning from all of these podcasts you're listening to, and I hope you are, is that when we're talking about these picks, there's players and where they go is what you should be going, okay, this round for this round for this round for this. So we're going to do a bit of a deep dive very soon on which rounds to get what guys. Because in the 5th round now, the centers, the pure centers, I know they're going to start off the board. You can see the beginning of the 4th round there, that Alpi, Turner, and Adebayo all go off. But then there's no centers coming off. And now the centers start. Now the centers start to come. I know that because I had Jared Allen in my queue. And I was like, I'll let Allen pass. I'll pick him up next round. I'll pick him up next round. Yeah, unfortunately, that didn't play out the way that Matty wanted it, did it? Because he's gone off the board there as Keller at number 3. Then DeAndre Ayton, another guy in my bloody queue, he's gone to Karan. Karan, again, I hate you. I love you. Stop taking my guys. And then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my centers because I now know that the run is starting. The war on centers is opened up. I need to fill in 2 spots of centers. Now, I can do that with power forward centers. Remember, you don't need to be tied to taking a pure center in a 2-center league if you are in one. They just have to be center eligible, but it does help to have at least one there because you know those pure centers can be really, really good sources of field goal percentage and high rebounds, more so than those who are power forward center eligible. So here, again, I've grabbed another one of my guys in Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm very comfortable taking here in the 5th round. Jalen Duren's gone off the board after then, and then after that, we've got Jaylen Brown, Jamal Murray, Darius Garland, Miles Bridges, Tobias Harris, and Pascal Siakam to round out the bottom of the 5th round there by Dan Titus. After the beginning, he's then paired him again. Look at the center run starting to come on off. You've got Rudy Gobert, you've got Lopez, you've got Brandon Ingram to start off the 6th round. And then as we go down here, you can see Nick Claxton, again, pure center. Bradley Beal, probably a little bit early for Beal, but I think he's going to be value, and he's been sneaky. So this is where we're starting to see him creep up into drafts right around now. Mikal Bridges, Brandon Miller. I've taken Mark Williams to fill that 2nd spot of my centers. Cam Thomas, he is shot up all over the place. Now, this is Karan telling us that he is taking points off the board. It's a war message in a draft if you're taking Cam Thomas in this round. If you were taking Cam Thomas in the 6th round, you are declaring that you are trying to lock down points super quick, which is super important because they do go off the board. And a guy like Cam Thomas has increased value in points leagues. You can see that 100% because that's what he do. Now, he did see a slight bump in assists and look out, field goal percentage, look out. He even stole the ball a couple of times to end last year. But again, in the 6th round is literally Karan declaring a war message to all of us that I'm getting points and sticking the middle finger up in the air. Devin Vassell after that one. Zach LaVine, love that pick there by Raf. He's slid a lot in drafts. And down here to round out the 6 is D'Angelo Russell. So, again, what does he pair D'Lo with? Now, again, hated Adam in this one because I would have liked to have picked up D'Lo because I'm now point guard short at this time. So I've also, now, yes, I know LaMelo's a point guard, but I'm point guard short because I can't trust LaMelo as my sole primary heir to the throne of my point guard duties in my team. So I need to then start coupling this up right now. So I'm starting to look around, who am I going to get to get me some defensive stats at good value? Again, this is an analyst draft. I know what I know. They know what I know. We know what we know. And so the values of guys does mix a little bit. But the thing is, I'm not drafting good dudes out of where I have them in ADP. So this is the thing where the ADPs on Yahoo or on #basketball or Basketball Monster, they're all formed off projections. ESPN projections, Fantrax projections, Underdog projections. Everything is projections. Mine is projections as well. That's why we've got the big draft board. And if you haven't done the big draft board yet, get onto it. It's via our Patreon right now, and the link is on there. You need to get onto that and become a member of our Patreon as well.
Want to take your fantasy sports game to the next level? Insight Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as preseason draft guides, player rankings, waiver wire advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
And that is exactly where you can find the big draft kit as well. It is my board, it's Mally's board, it's Skiddy's board, it's Matrix's board, it's our consensus board for all 4 of us as well, which is awesome data. The second one is just about to drop this week as we move into middle of September. Huge ADP shifts there, huge updates right across the board. You want to get onto that one. Now, starting off that 7th round, we've got Julius Randle, Nurk, again, the center's going off. Keller, Porter Jr., Josh Giddey. I was leaning into Giddey potentially to give me that other point guard duty. But again, Karan, he reads my mind and he hates me. And I hate him. No, I love Karan. But he keeps taking my guys because he and I think very similar. So in the back of my head now, I'm also thinking when I'm drafting, bugger, what's Karan doing? Oh no, what's Karan doing? And that's in my head. Like that voice of these guys in my head is always there. And it should be in yours as well. Know the strategies of other guys. So this is where I knew I had my backup plan. I knew because of similar dudes, the value was really high for a guy who's going to get me steals because I'm actually quite competitive in steals at this point. All right, so I need some threes and I need steals. Who's going to give me that? I've gone OG Anunoby. Drew Holiday was also someone who I was thinking of here, but I wanted to dictate and fill that up, thinking that I've got a couple of point guard stashes up my sleeve. Let me see where I can go with this. Otherwise, Drew Holiday there was going to be my guy. He goes off the board next. I'm like, oh, there he goes. Keegan Murray, Chris Paul. Again, heaps of assists, driving that up. Is going to get some steals. But again, health is a question. My other point guard, LaMelo, he's in question. Not going to do too much with that one. After that one, Tyler Hero, Clint Capella, Alex Caruso, and Anthony Simons. A good pick there by Dan. Again, I'm going to get the points. I'm going to get assists. It's just taking them off the board now because we're in round 8. To kick this off. And the last of the great 20-point scorers are going to be flying off the board very, very soon. Now, to kick it off there with that is Austin Reeves, Kobe White, CJ McCollum, Jakob Poeltl, good pick up there by NBA Fantasy Bible, Terry Rozier, Kyle Kuzma, Valanciunas, Jordan Poole by me. There was my guy I mentioned to you. I'm taking now Poole at his end of season value. I'm comfortable with the points he's going to generate. I'm comfortable with his confidence as well. That was the big thing with him last year. He really struggled in confidence. And when you're struggling in confidence in the NBA and you're just doing that, oh, I'm in a new team and everything's going to hell in a paper bag. And it doesn't look very good, let's be honest. But what we saw from him at the end of last year, I was much, much, much more comfortable with that. So I lent into that really, really hard in my team there. I was like, you know what? Poole's on the board. I desperately need points, to be honest. I really wanted to get some more pure scorers. I'd started well. AD, LaMelo, Lowry, really, really well. But you need to keep funneling that in and then add the peripherals to it. I'm looking pretty strong across the board and I'm really weak in assists. I'm kind of punting assists now entirely at this point. Like I have just punted out this incredibly much. So I've just let it go off the board and that's where it's broken down for me at the end of it. Leaning into that one after then, I've gone into Chris Middleton's off the board, Trey Murphy, who is in my queue and who has dropped, but I knew that one of these analysts was going to snipe him. That's why I thought I need the point guard, shooting guard, and Jordan Poole first, because I'm already okay in my small forward, power forward spot. I just picked up OG last pick. Maybe Trey was better, but that's really reaching for Trey. So I'm like, I've got to be happy and just let the chips fall where they may there. After that one, Jabari Smith Jr. and Jalen Suggs to round out our 8th round. Moving into the 9th round, Amen Thompson, Podziemski, Zubac by Keller. I loved this. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm here all day freaking for it, man. I love seeing Zubac around this 100s value. I think he's a great pickup. I think if you need a pure center and you can get one late, you can almost just stave off getting like Zubac. You could go in round 8 and be comfortable with it as far as I'm concerned. Like maybe not early 8, maybe just fill that center spot with a really quality guy. But I love Zubac. This is around his value, but I like it because, again, this is round 9. We talked about the whole run of pure centers off in the 5th round. Then after that, there's going to be some quality here. Guys like Valanciunas are going to pop up onto the board. Yeah, not a bad pick. Imagine how many rebounds he's going to get on a team with Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole. A lot. Zubac is another guy who loves the pick and roll game. Harden loves working with him. His value for me with the Clippers this year, because the backup is my bumper. Icky. And I don't feel good about it. I love Zubac here. Kuminga going off the board. He was in my queue, but RJ Barrett was in my queue as well. And RJ Barrett saw increased field goal percentage last year. He played a lot better moving home to Toronto. Again, a full season with this new unit in Toronto. I think it's going to be some fun basketball at times. I really, truly do. So I'm definitely pulling him into my team where I can, especially as points after 100. This is a 20-point scorer after pick 100, and there's not a lot of them that are available. Herb Jones, John Collins, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Onyeka Okongwu, Jeremy Grant, Kristaps Porzingis finally goes off the board here to Steve. Again, no IR spot after pick 110, but okay to have him and stash him. He's going to miss maybe half the season. He's not going to play back-to-backs in Boston. It shits me to tears because he's a top 20 fantasy player. 100% all of the way. Love that. But the value of him this coming season is down. Now, if you draft him and you can stash him into an IR spot and keep him there all season, you're wasting your IR spot. What happens when your number one option, your number two option goes down? Then you're going to be faced with a really tough decision, especially if it's like 6 to 8 weeks into the season. If you've only got one IR spot, again, get everyone in your league to bloody partition your manager, your commissioner, and start saying to them, hey, look, we need 2 IR. We need 2 IR, 2 IR plus, whatever your league settings are. Because if you've got to, and they can add that after the draft. So commissioners can also be a bit cheeky and sneaky here as well. Because a commissioner can be like, okay, cool, I'll wait till after the draft. People have to draft then. They are forced to draft at the value. And that's important. They have to draft at the value of the players that are there. Why? Because if you can move people in sometimes to these drafts, which you can do that. They're moving players in drafts, especially on fan tracks, into that IR spot. They're going back. The second the draft's over, they can come back into the wire, hit that, pick up a guy, and they've got a free pick basically at the end of it. Now, that's really cunning, and I'm kind of all for it because it's within the rules. But this is why IRs should be added. Afterwards, if you don't draft with an IR, you are drafting at buyer beware on guys like KP. Draymond Green runs out there for Dan Titus to end the 9th round before doubling that up with Bobby Portis. Now, that might be a bit early for Portis, but let's be honest, he's stable. That's a stable as pick. You can pick him up on the waiver wire, and that's what probably Dan's doing there. He's like, yeah, I'll get him. I'll build my team now, drop him for a hot free agent when I want, and probably be able to circle back to Porto very, very easily. Al Horford off the board here in round 10. This is the earliest I've seen it. And this is where when I'm high on Al Horford, it's when he's been in the 120s, 130s, just sitting there and not being taken. But this is around the value that he's going to be going because this is the value that he's going to have in this team for Boston this year. Naz Reid, Colin Sexton, great pick there by NBA Fantasy Bible. I had my eye on him. Another point guard, scorer, gets some steals occasionally, does some stuff here late in drafts, very valuable. Marcus Smart, again, in my queue, love that. This is my picks that I love. I love picks after 100. I'm like a pro pick 100 dude. I'm like all about this is where you get and eke out any little bit of freaking just juice that value as much as you can in your drafts. Tyus Jones, Conley, thank you very much for handing one of me my favorite top 75 players in my mind, Daniel Gafford in the 100s. Power forward, center eligible. Now, I don't know how long that lasts around, and bloody hell, I really hope that it does. But he is not playing many center minutes in this league. There is like no way, shape, or form that he is playing power forward. I mean, him and Lively sharing the floor together, maybe that counts. But if you look at the starting 5 now, and you look at how that rotation is going to break down in Dallas, now that Klay Thompson's arrived, PJ Washington is the 10-year power forward. And the center rotation, we all know, is the stupid minute split that does our heads in because they're both really good on this team, and we both really want to have them on our teams. It's Gafford and it's Derek Lively. So this is for me where that power forward center combo guy, as I said earlier, really helps to lean into my build and what I can do there. Walker Kessler, again, one of the great block specialists here going off the board. Good for field goal percentage, not great for your free throw percentage, but I like that from Karan. Jalen Green, he was in my queue for next round. He's gone out of it really quickly because he's one of those points guys who's still around at the end. Much better last year, could have some flashes, but now this is where we're flirting with Jalen Green money. Denny Advia off to Raf Seam after then Klay Thompson for Adam. And then he's paired that up with Jeremy Sohan. Love the upside potential for Sohan this year and a very more dependable San Antonio looking Spurs team with CP3 there. The Harrison Barnes thing does concern me. I want to know how much he's playing. I want to know how much that's going to impact that rotation. I do think that he starts. I do think Harrison is the small forward or the power forward. Jeremy plays the opposite position of that. They'll be interchangeable there, with Devin Vassell almost offers the shooting guard role in this team. I'm just curious to see how it shakes out. Homie Harkes Jr. into the 11th. Dennis Schroeder. Now, Karan's then taken Scoot Henderson. Great upside second pick. They invested an early round pick in Portland in Scoot. I do like the value that he could possibly return to us in this team. And then I've gone into taking Cam Johnson. Now, Cam Johnson here is a solid power forward pickup that you really think can have an improved season. So after the 110s, 120s, where we are right about now, I'm really comfortable with taking him in around this zone. Now, also in these drafts, you have to remember when either Derek Lively II or Dan Gafford goes off the board, the other one's going to come to the attention of, oh, that's right, Gafford. Oh, and you can see what's happened here is Sloan's gone, oh, Lively, because I've taken Gafford the round before. Maybe he had him in his queue. But again, it's something that's we're noticing in draft data that Lively's going, and then very quickly Gafford's going. It's almost like their values are so closely tied together. You put both in your queue, and you hope, oh, which one am I going to get? Cool, got one of the two blokes. And that's what we're noticing with this thing. Lively's got the upside. Gafford's more the stable guy. Sometimes around here, I like to take a couple stable guys. Sometimes I take gambles. I like Gafford more. His field goal percentage I could really use here. Really like that. And I just a little bit for the free throws. Like at this point with the volume that they get, doesn't really going to hurt me considering the volume I've got in other guys to be plus that. So I was really happy with how the team was shaken out here. After that, Naismith, who I do think could get some minutes, but it's a waiver wire guy for Adam. Malik Monk, again, taking the points off. Love this Keontae George pick. Keontae was in my queue. I was really hopeful to get him. Again, when I'm taking Cam Johnson here, I was like, I should have taken that point guard in Keontae, but really love that right there for NBA Fantasy Bible. Malcolm Brogdon, Mitch Robinson, Zach Edey to round out the 11th round. That is good pickings. Edey, again, another one of these centers. Imagine Zubac. Just imagine Zubac. If Edey at Memphis is going to do the exact same bloody thing as Zubac in the Clippers, this is now a pure center spot you're feeling 2 rounds after where Zubac went, that you can get one of those center targets late. Because the next guy off the board is one of my other favorite center targets late, and that's Trace Jackson Davis. I do think that he plays more. I do think we see an improved season from him this year. I do think we see more consistency. And I'm not going to trust Kevin Looney. And I'm always not going to trust Draymond out there playing the center and small ball all the time anymore. He's getting too old for it and banged up. Now, yeah, he can hold it down, but how many games ago? Is he going to get suspended again? The question mark's always around Draymond. Present an opportunity for value for Trace Jackson Davis. And I know that Titus is a Bay Area boy, and he's repping right out there for the team. But tell me what, I absolutely love that pick right there for Titus. Grayson Allen off the board there next to kick into the 12th round with Ayo Dosunmu. Alex Sarr going off the board. This is fine for Sarr. This is fine for Sarr. You're in the 12th round now. You're just looking at upside. So this is where now in the 12th round, you're going to start to see guys just getting the upside, getting the rookies, getting those people who are open up, or getting little statistical areas that they need. For instance, I had Dyson Daniels in my queue, and I know that if I'm doing that, everyone's going to know that, oh, he's wanting steals. But yeah, I need them, and they're really hard to source late. So I'm leaning into that there. Because you can see that he's gone off the board here and really pissed me off because of Karan. I did leave him on the board because I wanted some similar steals, but I wanted the more points that I think I can generate from Dante DiVincenzo and the higher amount of threes that I'll be able to get from him. Probably not just as high steals, but I do think Dante is a much improved defender here. So Sarr, Powell, Nembhard, Beal, DiVincenzo, Daniels, the 9th pick there in the round. 10th was KCP, 11th Josh Hart, and Taylor Hendricks there to round out the 12th round. I love that. I have Taylor Hendricks, a top 100, like 120 player in my last big board from memory. So seeing him here near the 130s signals excellent value, like really good value there for Adam. And I love that pick. This is our last round. And this is where the last declared guys that you want to feed come in. Now, Gary Trent Jr. has been one of my favorite last rounders. He's an analyst favorite last rounder. He's got points, he's got threes and spades, and an absolute genuine role there to play in Milwaukee. So he is a very, very valuable pick up there. DeAnthony Melton to start the third round. And this is also coming back up. So the last pick's going to be Titus. So I know that I need to make this count because I am well down on the waiver wire. This is the important thing to know. Know where you are in the last round because that is going to indicate to you your waiver wire priority. I know in this situation, I'm like middle of the pack. I'm like 7th or 8th. So I know when I put a waiver claim in my wire, I might not get it for the first couple of months of my season. I'm waiting for those other guys to burn through theirs so I can move into making sure that I use my waiver priority on a guy that I really want to get. I'm just not going to burn that off left, right, and center for a guy that I can standardly get. So I'm looking who's I'm going to really fill my team here, and that's where it was going to be Shaden Sharp. And then Keller took him and broke my heart. Needed rebounds and assists. Ben Simons. Karan. Thanks very much. There goes that one. So I go in my stable. I love him, and I'm taking him in the last round because I just won't leave him undrafted. It's more of a personal philosophy and principle. PJ Washington comes into my team. Christian Brown there for Sloan. Kelly Olynyk, Andrew Wiggins, Clowney. Again, fantasy bubble. Where's my upside? Last pick. Clowney doesn't get the minutes, doesn't get that increased role. I'm going to shut it down. Completely fine. Move on. Great picking. Aaron Gordon, you can see his value there diminished greatly. And Aaron getting a great pick for him one. Jonathan Isaac. And then after that one, we had Jaden Ivey to round out the very tail end of the draft. Now, we have a couple of things to put into here as well before we wrap this one on up. We do have a wonderful, I'm going to put it on up. I'm going to share the screen. Where's my window? This was yesterday. This is how it all shook out. This was the final draft board that was put up there. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm gonna make sure that I thank him properly. I'm sure that it was Adam's stock. So Adam's elite fantasy basketball team here. They're the ones who ended up winning this draft. He posted this on X in the projections. Now I came third. Now he got the number 1 pick and got to make an elite Wemby build there on projections. And I really like what he lent into for his team overall with this one. You can see here that I came in third, and I'm narrowly missing out a couple of categories. I ended up just probably not being as strong in points that I would have liked, but I really happened to buoy those steals in. So I'm competitive with this team. There's only 100 difference between all of the weeks in the season that I can pull back. Assists, I'm not going to pull that back. Rebounds, I'm there. Threes, I can pull down from the waiver wire. Points, not so much. But if you look at my games, I'm at 901. And the big thing here is games availability and played. How many guys are you going to get games out of? So if I can get the full amount of games from those guys with my injury clouds, like even my AD to start with pick 1, no one's going to lock in AD for 82 games. No analyst is going to put AD on their badge and say, yeah, he's playing every game this year, 100%. And no one's going to do that either for LaMelo Ball. So this is where that can have a direct impact on your team. But a really strong draft, as you see overall, based off the averages from what Adam posted up here from Basketball Monster projections. I came in third, Karan 4th, Papi Roy 5th, Sloan 6th, Titus right there, Adam's King, Raf, Steve, Podcast Pierre, NBA Fantasy Ball, and Adam Brewski from Sports Ethos afterwards. Really strong top end of the draft when they're basing off these things. 6.5 win percentage. But this is all off projections. If you're doing projection stuff, you're looking for 550 plus, and you're looking to pull it back in the categories that you want. Again, you need to be competitive. You look at the free throw percentage there between myself and Adam. Now I'm at 793. He's at 806. Really competitive between the top there. But I'm much stronger in field goal percentage. So I know that even if I bench a guy here on one of these teams, I could probably get a boy, or I could bring in some higher free throw percentage, and I can stream to win that against the top team quite easily. And I'm more comfortable in that because the disparity between it's not disheartening. I can pull that back. Or if LaMelo comes out the gates, he's trade bait for me, 100%. A first-round pick, if I can get a first-round pick back for LaMelo and I've punted assist, which I have, I can get a player of my choice to really grease that position and an extra on the side. I can get 2 for 1 on LaMelo for possibly for another first-round player. I'm going to be cheeky and try and draft that into my little builds like that and see where I can go. At the end of the day, I'll break down how the team panned out at the end of it. I have so many windows as well on my board. I have so many windows open on my other one. I'm just not going to hit the bloody wrong screen share because I'm going to put it up here right quickly. It's the final team that I ended up having for this draft was this one. Here we go. Window. So many windows. Here is the team, how it shook out in the end for my draft. Again, really happy with this build. This is LaMelo Ball, Emmanuel Quickly, Jordan Poole, Lowry Markkanen. My number one pick here was Anthony Davis, OG Anunoby, Isaiah Hartenstein, Mark Williams for my center spots with RJ Barrett, Dan Gafford, Cam Johnson, Dante DiVincenzo, and PJ Washington in my power forward spot. If you have a look around the league, it is super competitive, and I love this one. Deep into it right here. Again, the team that won it, let's just focus on him real quickly. Adam's Elite Fantasy Basketball. Again, when you're drafted up with Wemby as your number one pick, you can go wherever you want, and he's coupled that up nicely with Fred VanVleet, Jalen Suggs, De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Vooch, Randall. He has left that second spot forward and just put them into this. So he hasn't drafted the traditional second center to fill that spot. He's just moved it down to his bench. D'Angelo Russell, Amen Thompson, Klay Thompson, Jeremy Sohan, Taylor Hendricks, and Gary Trent Jr. And that's the other thing that I think is really important here. I do have more of those categories that I need to win. So I am going to be able to play, even though he does have like stronger rebounds there, in a week to week, he doesn't have the dudes to fill the spot. So this is where when I'm looking at teams that I'm looking, I'm saying, oh, I've got more centers. I'm going to be able to roll these guys out and probably come over the top of other guys with other builds in my team and really work that out to my advantage. So that's where I'm going to try and build that in every single time and to get that. That's the wrap up of this one. Big thanks to Dan Titus from Yahoo Sports for breaking it down and putting this on for everybody in analyst land. I hope you've learned something from these rounds. Draft by round. Check out our full breakdown of great round strategies. It's coming out next week. Best value, guys, to get. Keep building those teams. Keep it locked on. Keep it listening into every single thing that we do. And listen to everything. It's pod season, baby. It's draft season around the corner. Take care. Be well. Thanks for listening to Insight.